I defend Justin Baldoni in this lawsuit with Blake Lively because I think she's horrible and she's made up this whole thing because she tried to steal his movie. But he is the most overly feminized man.
Is Megyn Kelly the only one brave enough to expose the truth about Blake Lively? Everyone thought Blake Lively was Hollywood royalty, beloved, untouchable, and above scandal. But now, the mask is slipping. And it's not just slipping, it's being ripped off. Because when she launched a brutal lawsuit against actor and director Justin Baldoni, she may have underestimated who she was dealing with. What she framed as a righteous fight has quickly spiraled into something much darker and much more revealing.
To me, is sort of the embodiment of what happens when you totally emasculate a man. And then she continued, she took that stiletto and stuck it in his heart when he was down there self-flagellating, being so sorry for anything having to do with his testosterone.
Megyn Kelly has entered the chat, armed with receipts, timelines, and a brutal takedown that makes it almost impossible to see Blake in the same light again. With every new revelation, more and more people are starting to ask, was this whole thing a carefully crafted lie? Let's break it all down. The lawsuit, the evidence, the manipulation, and the part no one saw coming. In December, Blake Lively shocked fans and industry insiders when she filed a lawsuit against Justin Baldoni, accusing him of sexual harassment, breach of contract, and professional misconduct. The headlines were explosive. The narrative was clear. Blake, the victim. Baldoni, the predator.
One of the key allegations in her complaint against Justin Baldoni was as follows, from paragraph 48 of her complaint. She writes, on another occasion, Mr. Baldoni and Ms. Lively were filming a slow dance scene for a montage in which no sound.
But that narrative unraveled almost immediately. Because Justin Baldoni didn't just respond. He came with 244 pages of text messages, emails, and documents that flipped the story on its head. And that's when things got messy. Fast. The most powerful thing about this case isn't the drama, it's the documentation. Justin Baldoni's 244-page counterclaim wasn't just a defensive move, it was a surgical strike. Every claim Blake made, there's a message, a timestamp, a record. We've seen careers destroyed by allegations alone.
Baldoni chose to let the camera roll and have them perform the scene, but did not act in character as Ryle. Instead, he spoke to Miss Lively out of character as himself. At one point, he leaned forward and slowly dragged his lips from her ear and down her neck.
But Baldoni fought back not with anger, but with facts. He didn't scream in interviews. He didn't leak nasty gossip. He simply let the truth speak for itself. And in a world where rumors spread faster than facts, that's the kind of quiet power people remember. The messages showed a very different relationship, one that was collaborative, even friendly, and completely lacking in any of the behaviors Blake had accused him of. Suddenly, questions began to swirl. Was this about justice, or was it about power? Megyn Kelly was one of the first to publicly call it out, and she didn't hold back. When Megyn Kelly spoke up, she didn't just echo Baldoni's defense, she brought fire. Her first bombshell? That Blake Lively's accusation of sexual harassment was completely unfounded. She cited direct messages, timelines, and contradictory public statements from Blake herself.
This text from Blake Lively is insane. If you knew me in person longer, you'd have a sense of how flirty and yummy the ball busting would play.
According to Kelly, Blake was attempting to shift the blame for her own string of negative press onto Baldoni. She painted herself as the wounded woman and him as the aggressor. But the receipts told a different story. One where Blake was the one pulling strings behind the scenes and rewriting reality to protect her brand. Kelly described the entire situation as fraud, not just in a legal sense, but in a deeply personal, moral one. She claimed Blake was playing a game, a dangerous one. And worse, it wasn't the first time. Megyn Kelly then zoomed out and asked a chilling question. Has Blake Lively always been this controlling? She pointed to Blake's own words at the Forest Power Women's Summit, where Blake confessed she used to hide her creative ambitions. "I wouldn't reveal that I need authorship to feel fulfilled," Blake said. That word, authorship, is key. Because according to people who worked with her, Blake wasn't just acting on projects. She was quietly directing them behind the scenes. Sources claimed she rewrote scripts, demanded wardrobe changes, edited film cuts. One insider even said she overrode professional directors to push her own vision. But the most shocking moment? When Justin Baldoni, yes, the director of It Ends With Us, was allegedly banned from his own film's premiere night. He said he was literally sent to the basement with his family and friends.
"It's my love language, spicy and playfully bold, never with teeth." What?
It's a crazy text.
What are you insinuating? Like, is that a joke?
While Blake walked the carpet alone, presenting the film as if it were hers. Think about that. The director, hidden from his own movie. And the deeper you dig, the more these incidents stop looking isolated and start looking like a pattern. Megyn Kelly then reached into the vault and pulled out one of the wildest receipts yet. In a 2009 Glamour UK interview, Blake Lively admitted, on record, that she poisoned the cast of Gossip Girl against her co-star, Penn Badgley. Her words, not ours. She said she was upset Penn got cast and took it personally, so she actively turned her co-stars against him. That's not just mean girl behavior. That's manipulation on a professional level. And Megyn Kelly connected that moment directly to what's happening now with Baldoni. This isn't just a sudden power grab. It's the continuation of a long, disturbing pattern of controlling and sabotaging the men she works with. One moment you're her co-star, the next you're in the crosshairs. Then came the comparison that shook the internet.
Did Ryan Reynolds ditch Blake Lively at the premiere of Another Simple Favor to save his own career?
Megyn Kelly compared Blake Lively to Amber Heard. The implication was brutal. Blake, like Amber, was manipulating victimhood, exploiting social movements, weaponizing false narratives. Kelly pointed out that none of Blake's claims had held up under scrutiny. In fact, every accusation, so far, has been met with direct evidence to the contrary. Texts, emails, even footage. And yet Blake continued to push her narrative, even as it fell apart. That, according to Kelly, was the real danger. Not just lying, but lying with the confidence that you'll never be called out. But this time, the evidence is too overwhelming. And Blake's control of the story is slipping. One of the most revealing parts of this saga isn't what people are saying. It's what they're not saying.
Colonel Kurtz, who trolled Blake at the premiere. Speaking of the premiere, we're going to talk about this red carpet. Why wasn't Ryan Reynolds there?
Megyn Kelly pointed out that Blake's former co-stars, people who've worked with her for years, have been silent. Not a tweet, not an Instagram story, not a word of support. Worse, many of them have unfollowed her altogether. Even Colleen Hoover, the author of It Ends With Us, the film at the center of this controversy, quietly scrubbed Blake from her social media. Hoover was supposed to be Team Blake. Instead, she distanced herself with the subtlety of someone trying to avoid being dragged down with a sinking ship. Kelly compared it to the early days of Meghan Markle's downfall. When the media was still friendly, but behind the scenes, the knives were already out. Hollywood runs on silence. When no one speaks up for you, they're telling you everything you need to know. And then there's Ryan Reynolds, Blake's husband, business mogul, and star of the internet.
Amid the ongoing legal battle between Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively, an interview recorded prior to the lawsuits has been released where Baldoni alludes to having a difficult year.
Many are asking, where is he in all this? The couple, known for their cheeky social media banter, has gone eerily quiet. No jokes, no memes, no support. Kelly mockingly referred to him as Blake's dragon, suggesting he's being dragged into war against his will. While Ryan tries to sell phone plans and gin, Blake's allegedly launching personal crusades that could tank reputations. And yet, he stays silent. Why? Some speculate Ryan knows more than he's letting on. Others believe he's distancing himself until the storm passes. Either way, his silence is starting to scream louder than any public statement. To truly understand the stakes here, we have to talk about Justin Baldoni. Not the headlines, not the drama, but the man himself.
They're done, and it's no wonder everyone avoided them like the plague.
TMZ just dropped a bomb on Blake Lively.
For years, Baldoni has been seen as one of the most emotionally intelligent figures in Hollywood. He's spent his career challenging toxic masculinity, producing films that center female voices, and openly discussing his own vulnerability as a man in a cutthroat industry. He's not just an actor or a director. He's a speaker, a father, a husband, and an advocate. His TED Talk on redefining masculinity went viral for a reason. He's the kind of guy who writes books called Man Enough, who tears up on interviews talking about compassion and empathy. This is the man Blake Lively labeled a threat, a predator, a manipulator. And that's what makes this entire lawsuit feel so off. Because for someone so publicly centered on accountability, kindness, and inclusion, there's a serious disconnect between the man Blake's describing and the man the public has watched for years. And maybe that's why Megyn Kelly, a woman not known for siding with Hollywood progressives, stepped in to say, enough. This isn't about politics. This is about truth.
Less than 12 hours after Justin filed, Blake's legal team doubled down, calling the bombshell $400 million lawsuit another chapter in the abuser playbook.
Blake Lively has always been two things: stunning and strategic. From Gossip Girl to red carpets, she's curated every single step of her career with military precision. No scandals, no missteps, just glamorous magazine covers and viral fashion moments. And behind it all, a masterclass in image control. But this lawsuit may be her first real miscalculation, because the same instincts that once made her untouchable are now making her look dangerously calculated. Every press release, every emotional appeal, every carefully worded statement, it doesn't feel authentic anymore. It feels rehearsed. And that's the one thing fans can smell a mile away: inauthenticity. Hollywood forgives mistakes. What it doesn't forgive? Getting caught pretending to be someone you're not. The most powerful thing about this case isn't the drama, it's the documentation. Justin Baldoni's 244-page counterclaim wasn't just a defensive move, it was a surgical strike. Every claim Blake made, there's a message, a timestamp, a record. We've seen careers destroyed by allegations alone. But Baldoni fought back not with anger, but with facts. He didn't scream in interviews. He didn't leak nasty gossip. He simply let the truth speak for itself. And in a world where rumors spread faster than facts, that's the kind of quiet power people remember. In the end, this story is about more than a lawsuit. It's about what happens when the machinery behind fame starts to break down. Blake Lively built a brand on perfection. Justin Baldoni built a brand on honesty. Now, those two brands have collided, and only one seems to be holding up under pressure. Because as the dust settles, what we're left with isn't just questions about legal claims or red carpet drama. We're left with something much bigger. What happens when truth fights narrative? When receipts go up against reputation? And perhaps most importantly, who do we become when we're finally held accountable for the stories we try to spin? Let us know what you think in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives just like this.